Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome to Bringers of the Light Sunday. Got some Johnny Cash thing going on. Welcome. Someone named Cash has been showing up lately. I don't know. There's a Cash in our TLC for the Soul community. Putting the blanket on. Welcome, everyone. Welcome in. Before we go any further, let me wrap us all in love light and light love. Inviting in the guides who overlight TLC for the Soul, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, Pleiadians, and all of my TLC for the Soul guides as we're joining us here, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're listening on the podcast, or whether you're catching this frequency update through the astral realms. So we have other beings here, not just human beings, listening and partaking of these transmissions. So welcome in. This is Bringers of the Light Sunday. We are going to talk about the week ahead. We are going to read from another chapter of, I can't move this. It's always in my way, like it's like a brass ring. Flying Potion. And we are going to maybe draw a few cards and just a tiny little bit of housekeeping. If you're new, welcome in. We have quite a few newbies joining us. And if you've been here a while, well, thank you for continuing to hang out in this magical play space. That is my life. It's not just TLC with the Soul. Magical play space. It's very dreary out today, but it's not super cold. It's just dark, and Samhain came and went, and November 1st got here, and it was like already like winterish looking weather, which technically I guess Samhain is like the start of like early winter. So we shall see what magic awaits us here in the great northern plains with terms of winter. So we are going to, I don't know where we're going with that. Maybe we have more light language a little bit later, but I did drop yesterday a November energy update with the cards. There were quite a few career messages and love messages in that reading. So if you missed that, check it out. I didn't upload it to the podcast. I probably should, but it is on YouTube, on my YouTube channel if you want to catch it there. And today we have an interesting chapter from Flying Potion. I actually just channeled it before I sit down to record. And I'm in my comfy chair, my blanket. It was so hot earlier. I was like, I had a fan on and everything. I think there's a lot, contrary to what I feel like there's still some ascension symptoms going on with like heat and like your head feeling hot. So they may want me to bring in some light language for that. But I am planning to do a separate November energy hangout with our Earth Council, channeled Earth Council updates, as well as a separate November light language healing and activations show as well. But today I just felt like having fun with our Bringers of the Light, Rockaway Point and Tessa Walk, and our Flying Potion story. We are skipping ahead. I did bring in like 3 chapters that we haven't talked about on the show. So and they're really fun. They're all about the haunted house. And we found out what Glockenspiel directive was from last time we met when Mindy Smatherton was trying to entice Dakar. And there was a spell called Glockenspiel Directive, and we didn't know what that was. So we find out all about what that is. And that is, I dropped that in audiobook format a few days ago. Those chapters, I think it was chapter 7 through chapter 9 3/4. I just saw 444 on the timer. But today we're gonna catch up a little bit. I may just briefly catch you up on what happened in those chapters, and then we're gonna read this chapter. So here's what we do. If you're new here, because I think there's so many new people. If you're new, I'm a author, artist, and master healer. And I write, all my books I write are what I call channeled fiction and nonfiction. All my ebooks are free to read. Google Books, Apple Books, Barnes and Nobles. I have over 15 published books right now. All of them are fictional right now except for one, which is Eat Like a Lemurian. That one is a really good one if you want to you want to work with the Lemurian energies and the Pleiadian energies on basically like a wellness plan that has to do with overall wellness, like spiritual, physical, mental, emotional wellness. That's Eat Like a Lemurian. And I don't feel like enough people really appreciate what that channeling, it's not coming from me. I just channel it from those guys. But what that book has to offer, and I think a few of you have told me that you had started on that journey. It takes about 12 to 18 months to work through the workbook. But I'm interested if anybody is working on that, like in the comments, let me know how that's going, how that's working for you. It does take some commitment to work with it. So what we do is I write these channeled fiction books, among other things that we do here. I am working on some new designs for Bringers of the Light. But we read the books, we read the chapters. They come in via automatic writing, basically. And they have metaphors and meanings and the energy of whatever I want them to have, since they're my creations. But really all my work, I set the intention that it be healing and uplifting and motivating and provide you with messages and answers that you might need on your own spiritual journey and your own path. And I'm here to, TLC talks with motivational things to just help you have, the best day, the best week ahead, the best whatever possible. I also have quite a few oracle card decks over on the Game Crafter. Links to everything I talk about are always in the show notes. I have over 10 or 15 published decks as well. And we have our Patreon right now with our 3 tiers over on Patreon. And, I do all sorts of stuff over there, in addition to posting extended readings and week ahead readings. And so if you don't want to just become a member of the Patreon group, our group, you can go take a look at individual offerings that you might be interested in, like the weekly readings collection or the timeless readings collection. And you can just purchase access to those individually. What else do we have? I think that's it. Where do I want to go next? Where do we want to go next, y'all? Read the chapter. Okay, so we're getting right into reading the chapter. Let's see. Okay. What's with the refresh? What? Something just happened with my Google Keep. All right. I don't know when we last left off at Glockenspiel Directive, and I don't want to spoil the surprise of what happens there, because it was kind of like, what? But so I might save that. Oh, it's so good. Oh my gosh. There's some different themes in that chapter. Is that chapter 8? Yeah, chapter 8 is Glockenspiel Directive. Activate. Basically, Mindy takes Dakar somewhere that she doesn't really, was not her intention. She wants to take him somewhere, but they end up somewhere else, and not where they expected, and in some spell that she was trying to activate, because her spells always go wrong. And then we come back in chapter 9 with Sunny and Rory, who have been who were making their way from Rockaway Point to Tesselok to go through the haunted house and the corn maze, and they get to the corn maze and they go to the corn maze, and there's some interesting kind of fun things that happen in the corn maze. And then let's drop in at chapter 9 3/4. I think I will read it because it's short, and so is chapter 10, which is the one that we're here for the week ahead. But chapter 9 3/4 will give us a little bit of background. So if you're new here, this is just not like a fun book. I mean, it is a fun book, but we ask you to listen with your master senses. Call in your own guide. So there's different levels of engaging with this content. You can engage with it like, oh, it's just a fun story. I'm here to find out what happens next with Flying Potion. But Bringers of the Light is me, it's you, it's all of us, light workers, spiritual warriors, light warriors, witches, familiar, whatever you want to call yourself, unicorn person. Doesn't matter to me. They're going to work with all sorts of guides and people friends. But listen for metaphors and things that might stand out to you, because the other intention of these, in addition to the story, is there are messages, meanings, and stuff. And now we're asking for these to talk. We're going to talk about the week ahead. So I'm going to read it, and then I'll go back in and I'll suss out any metaphors I feel apply to the energies of the week ahead. When we'll pull a few cards to validate that, or just to have some additional looks at that. And that's really what we do on Bringers of the Light Sunday. It's a chance for us to hang out together. It is a growing little community. It is a fun space. And one of the t-shirts I'm working on, it's not just a t-shirt, but one of the designs I'm working on is, there's a chapter in this book that came through where Abigail is like, what's going on with our coven? They have like a meetup group, Spectre and Book is their coven. And she realizes, like, we're supposed to have more coven members. There's not enough to support what we're trying to get done. And we don't know exactly what they're trying to get done. Are they like a friendship group? Are they, we don't really know what Spectre and Book coven does. They kind of hang around Rockaway Point, and Abigail helps Dakar. She's a bringer of the light. She's an advanced agent with the Bringers of the Light headquarters, and she helps dispel dark energies. But we're not really sure what. But in one of the chapters, she realized she needs more people. And so I'm making a design that is like for you all, that says like, you're a member, like member of Spectre and Book Club. We're calling it club, because you say the word coven in the outer worlds and people are like, oh my God, sign of the cross. So we're calling it club, Spectre and Book Club. And, not everybody, coven, who knows what that really entails. But book club, maybe in the future we will have like some sort of book club here. So I want to leave it a little bit of a wider meaning on that. But anyway, it's just a fun design that I think you put on a shirt or put on something else or put on a pin or something. So I've been trying to play with those designs. And then I do have a Bringers of the Light design I'm working on as well that I think will look really cool on a shirt. That's more of like an 80s look, like, kind of graphic design. And that's all part of my Bringers of the Light sigil wear that I'll talk about at another time. But anyway, those are some projects in the works right now for all of us. So this is Flying Potion. This is chapter 9 3/4. Haunted houses or haunted memories. I have to get ready for Sea Star's voice. It's very sultry. Sea Star is our DJ at the Rockaway Point Lighthouse as an homage to Adrienne Barbeau in Stephen King. Is it Stephen King's The Mist? The Fog. Wait, it's The Fog. The Mist. The Fog. WBAT 44 AM, your station for all the hits. Sea Star's voice rang out over the crowd that had gathered for the sponsored haunted house at Old Brick's bungalow. Rory and Sunny arrived just in time to catch the tailgate party of their good friends. Beer, wine, grilled burgers, vegan alternatives, hot toddies, apple pie, and a special cart sponsored by the Autumn Festival Committee featuring all the dishes from the festival entries earlier that month. The crowd gathered and ate, awaiting darkness, which would come very soon given the autumn season and the freaking time change that we just had just last night. Sunny decided to try a piglet tart. No, there were no real piglets in this creation. One would get a basted barbecue tart with a special dipping sauce, and right at the middle of it, towards the very last bite, a golden ticket had been baked inside. The winner would always be the one who finished the tart, procured the golden ticket, and then took said ticket to Grand Slam Barbecue in Tessa Lock, where they would be provided with all the fixings for a barbecue Sunday lunch. Grand Slam Barbecue had been making piglet tarts since old Ginny Jenkins married Seth O'Hanrahan 10 years ago. Ginny having brought the recipe from Arkansas after having met Seth and declaring that he was her one. She'd upped sticks quite literally as she lived in the mountains with no electricity and quite a few real piglets of her own to hook up with Seth in Tessa Lock. Grand Slam Barbecue had been born, and that was that. Sunny's piglet tart smelled amazing, and she took the messy plate and went to sit by the car, eating and waiting. First bite of drizzly, delicious sauce dripped down her chin as she wiped delicately with her napkin. Bite 2, 3, 4, and just when bite 5 should have revealed the golden ticket, Sunny stopped. Rory ran up out of breath from throwing footballs back and forth with his mates. He surreptitiously grabbed the last bite from Sunny's hand and devoured the tart, stopping only to realize the paper in his mouth. "Hey, that's my ticket!" Sunny fake pouted, knowing all along she would have given Rory the golden ticket anyway. Chapter 10. A Scare of a Good Time. Rory and Sunny continued to enjoy all the treats and haunts of the WBAT 44 AM haunted house night until finally around 10 p.m. Seastar's voice came over the loudspeaker. "It's so good for you to have joined us tonight. We raised $7,000 for the Save the Wharf Foundation, and town council members say we'll have enough to build that snack shack we've been wanting out on Seafarers Beach. Thank you, everyone, for your generosity, and I bid you a fond goodbye for now." Seastar plays Don't Fear the Reaper and stepped out from behind the mic to join in on the fun. Townspeople began clearing up their spaces. Food trucks pulled in their wares, and those making the trip out past the moors and home made ready for the foggy journey ahead. Meanwhile, Sunny had been taken off track a little by the table set up just outside the chai house. Polly Williker sat with Scratchy by her side as Polly held the hand of Giuseppe Vertucci, our young Italian expat. "But she loves me, I just know it." Giuseppe, whose friends called him Il Bacio in Italian, pulled his hand away from Molly. "You simply must help me, my love. She needs me." "Sir," Polly said curtly, and then suddenly went into a trance state. "Stir a little potion and I'll make this all right. A wisp of her hair and her love will take flight. A prick of her blood and she'll love you like crazy. But forewarn you I must, since love magic is—" Polly quickly steadied herself. "Oh dear," she said, wiping her forehead with her hand. "Please forgive me," she said, shushing the spirit of her great-grandmother, who'd racked up quite a negative karmic debt, casting binding love spells on unsuspecting suitors. She continued as Giuseppe made the sign of the cross with his fingers. "The best way to win her heart is to be yourself. If she doesn't love you for who you are, then no spell will ever be enough." Giuseppe, dissatisfied with the answer, but willing to consider his possibilities, placed a sum in the tip jar and headed back to close up the pasta-in-your-face food truck for the drive home to Tessa Lock. Sunny walked up to Polly. "Have time for one more reading, Polly?" She smiled at the older woman. "For you, my dear," Polly smiled with delicious appreciation. "The sky's the limit, and my reading will only tell you that you will get everything you want." Dun, 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 dun. And chapter 11's title is, this is for next week, is A Whale Beaches at Seafarers Cove. I don't know what's going to happen there. But let's look at this for as it pertains to the week ahead. We have in this book, I've noticed so many new people coming in, and we talk about this a little bit more detail in the November card reading about how Pluto leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius on November the 19th is a huge influx of positive, magical energy, new starts. Pluto has not been in Aquarius in our lifetime because it takes Pluto like 200 years or 200 some plus years to make a complete roundabout the zodiac, I believe. And so we've never had Pluto in Aquarius. We don't know what to expect. I know Pluto in Capricorn the last 16 years has been like an uphill battle, but we don't know what to expect there. But it's Aquarius is the 11th house in astrology, and that's all about like social networks and communities and social gatherings, and not so much like one-on-one relationships, but more like people, or more people oriented, versus where I feel like Capricorn was more like mountain goat all by myself going up the mountain. I feel like this is bringing us out of our shell and back into like the world. And this Flying Potion book so far, if you've been following it from the beginning, and if you haven't, then the audiobook from chapter 1 is out there in playlists in YouTube and on Spotify. But there's been so many new people coming into Rockaway Point and Tesul Lock. It's almost like I can't keep track of them. And now we have, the Grand Slam barbecue, all these new outros I'll have to record. The Grand Slam barbecue with the Piglet Tart and Ginny Jenkins and Seth O'Hanrahan. And we have Giuseppe Vertucci coming from Italy for whatever reason and deciding to settle down in Rockaway Point, which is my etheric towns in the upper coast of like the UK area, somewhere around there. We've got Grand Slam barbecue and all this food. It's making me so hungry. All these food trucks, all these gatherings that have been happening throughout Flying Potion. I feel like for those of us, myself included, who've just been like hermiting away in our house, doing our spiritual work, and like, I feel like we're getting to come out of our nest now and enjoy all these other things that we haven't been able to do before because Spirit has had us like deeply confined doing all this spiritual work. I think for me, it's really has been that way since like 2017, 2018. And Pluto has been in Capricorn for 16 years since 2008. But I feel like we're opening up now to all these amazing, fun things that we've been wanting to do. Like, yeah, I want to go to Broadway shows. Yeah, I want to travel and go to, like, all of these things I think are becoming available to us again. And how does that pertain to this week? Well, we have like Sunny and Rory getting the golden ticket from the Piglet Tart. Golden ticket, put whatever metaphor you want on that. Golden ticket, like you can move forward now. Golden ticket, yeah, like even in Willy Wonka, that little kid was like so poor, and the golden ticket, doesn't Willy Wonka end up leaving? I forget his name, but the kid in the story, doesn't he end up getting like all of Willy Wonka's secrets and fortune, and like he becomes like his heir or whatever, I think, even though they're not directly related. So I find that one kind of interesting. And then Rory and Sunny continue at the haunted house to have fun. We talk about raising money for the Save the Wharf Foundation. Now is not a time to go slack on your tithing, your gratitude practice, your charitable contributions, your charitable investments, even starting to invest for your own future. We talk about no matter your age in the November card reading, you can always start fresh again, no matter how old you are, because you're not just investing for yourself. You're investing for future generations. And with all this like Save the Wharf Foundation, that's going to help that's going to help Rockaway Point's you know, beachfront area become more prosperous. And I feel like now maybe you're starting to come with this golden ticket back into this place of being able to put money, you know, have more than enough to go around, like have, you know, paying yourself what you're truly owed or truly owed. There was a lot about karmic entitlement coming up here too, with those last few paragraphs in the chapter 10 about, you know, Polly telling Sunny like, you don't really need a reading because all I'm going to tell you is everything you want is what you're getting. And I feel like that's the energy that's starting to come in this week, and you're seeing it like slowly building up. And I'm seeing it too in my physical 3D world, like slowly building up, like, oh, I have more I can save now. I have more more I can tithe now every month, like my charitable giving. And when I say now is not the time, now is the time to keep going with that. So there may be this mindset of like, well, I've got everything I want now, so I can kind of go lax on some of these practices that I'm doing. And it's like, whoa, Nelly, no, don't stop doing any of those things. That just makes your karmic banks grow, and the positive karma side, all the giving, all the tithing, giving more brings back more to you. That could be a whole other show. And it may be because we said we wanted to do our part 2 of our financial workshop. But I feel like we need a refresher on like, don't stop doing all those things. Those are things that you just keep doing, whether your big dreams come to light or not. You keep doing your spiritual practice. You keep doing your meditation. You keep giving and in order to receive more. This whole thing about the love spell, I think it's just a message, and I don't know, maybe some of you have been tempted to do love magic or whatever, and it's like, I did know, do I go there? Yeah, okay, keep going. I did know somebody who really was, I'm not connected to this person anymore, and I know they don't watch my channel, and I'm not saying anything personal about them, but I know that they were so fixated on this one person, and they just were so convinced that this was their person, and they really did bring in a very gifted psychic who did lots of binding spells on this other when I would hear like, what is this person doing? Why? I mean, it was like, it almost became like an obsession of the friend of mine. Like, you saw the psychic again? And yeah, and this is what she did. And I was like, oh my God. And they were like binding, you know, like the person was interested in this one individual, and he was seeing somebody else, and they were like putting binding spells on the other person and this person. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and back then I didn't really realize, maybe I kind of knew deep down, but all the negative karmic debt that piles up when you partake in stuff like that. So pay attention to the kind of magic you're working, because it does talk about like Polly's great-grandmother coming in, and Polly's great-grandmother was the one who worked all these like binding spells and did all this stuff and worked up all this negative karmic debt. And I feel like we've been the ones clearing all this ancestral karma, sometimes not just for ourselves and for what we did in past lives, but for our family line. Yes, I'm getting so many chills. For our family line too, like, you know, stuff great-grandmother Polly did that she probably wasn't supposed to be doing, and then it affected us, right? Because our ancestors' negative karma kind of also does affect us in some way. If they made really bad choices, and they had all this negative karma to deal with, then it does down the line end up affecting us. And I feel like now I keep hearing that there's these like especially like financial fresh starts and positive. Somebody else too said that I was reading their Instagram, and they're like, I cleared all my karma with my mom, and now we have no more negative karma together, and now it's like a fresh start. And I'm like, yes, let's not muck up these fresh starts. I cleared my negative karma, and now I'm good to move forward with everything that I want. And it keeps happening to me, these little tests. And they're little things, but they can add up. I'm gonna say these just as examples, and then we're gonna draw a card.
the other day I went to the gas station, and they have like buy one get one free car wash on Tuesdays, and it was a whole fiasco behind the counter. I think it was a little older, there was a lot of low retired folk working there, and the little man was like really not sure how to work the register. He's like, I'm not sure what I'm doing, and somebody had to help him. And they give you the car wash codes like on your receipt, and so they bill you for one car wash, and they give you a receipt with a code, and then the free one is a $0 receipt with a code. Well, he messed up or whatever, and he ended up having to do something again, and he hands me another receipt, and there was another code on that. So I essentially ended up with, instead of 2 free car wash codes, I ended up with 3. And I had a real mental struggle with that, because at first I was like, yeah, 3, what a reward, 3 car wash codes. And then I was like, wait a minute, but I didn't pay for the third one. These are little things that can start adding up. I didn't pay for the third one. And so I'm not entitled to the third one, because that's like stealing. And I've worked really hard to clear a lot of negative karma on my finances side. And so I was like, I cannot use this. I cannot use this code. And so I ripped up the receipt and threw it away. And then yesterday, the same place, every time I go to this place, it's like a test. I was paying for some stuff, and I paid in cash. And the girl says, oh, your change is like $13 and some odd cents. And she hands me the money. And I looked, and I had $14. So she had like given me an extra dollar. And I'm like, did you say 13 or 14? And she's like, no, it's 13, 13 plus change. And I'm like, I gave her the dollar back. And I'm like, okay, you gave me too much money back. And she looked like, oh my God, so embarrassed. I think probably because her manager was standing there. But I was, like so embarrassed, like she made a mistake. And I'm like, I don't want your register to be out of balance. And in my mind, I didn't say it out loud, but I was like, even that $1, I did not, I'm not entitled to that $1 because you're giving me too much in return. So I gave it back, and I was like, whew. And my son was like, why the heck did you do that? And I'm like, because I don't want any negative karma where money is concerned. And even that $1 and that little free, I think they're like $13 car wash, this is not worth it to me. So these are the kinds of things to think about. Is that love spell really worth it in the long run? It took how many hundreds of years for us to clear this karmic debt through our ancestral lines. Do you really want to play with that kind of stuff again? Pay attention. These might be little tests that are coming up to be dealt with. And if you're not sure, just ask. Like I will ask sometimes, like, would this cause negative karma? And my guides are like, yes. And I'm like, well, I don't want that, whatever it was. Now, if it's rightfully something free or that you're entitled to, that's different. And I would say it's a case by case basis. But if you're ever like, doot, doot, mini red flag going off, something's not right, then I would just err on the side of caution and just, $1 or $13 is not worth it. But right, when negative karma comes back to you, it comes back tenfold. So, you don't want these things to start piling up. And that seems like a big message that people need to hear right now. Whatever magic it is that you're working, just pay attention to what you're doing. And if you're not sure, ask your guides for guidance. All right, let's get any other cards. So maybe there's some tests and trials, some initiations coming up this week around those areas. And it'll show you how far you've come too. Like where in the past you might have been like, yeah, and got one over on you. Now you may be like, oh, not super pious, because I was like, am I being like too pious? And my guides are like, it's a thin line, right? It's a thin line, and so you just kind of have to watch yourself. 7 of Pentacles came up. This is my divine timing card. This is about being happy with what you have now, even though I think this is about multiple things. Okay, let's just diatribe on this one, because this 7 of Pentacles has got a lot going on here, because it's 2 people in this card, and this Modern Love Tarot is all about like relationships. But 7 of Pentacles is typically about, divine, I say divine timing. Like there's always a person, they're standing there with their rake or their hoe or whatever it is. Their hoe. Sorry. And oh, she's my hoe now. It's kind of King of the Hill. It was actually Snoop Dogg on King of the Hill, on a King of the Hill episode. Oh, that was a funny one. Anyway, that's just beside the point. Get back on track. divine timing, right? You're waiting for stuff to manifest. It's always a tree that has a bunch of pentacles, and the pentacles look really big, like they're just about to drop off the tree. And this card, we've got the same thing. We have a lot of pentacles, I guess, on sunflowers, but we have this guy kneeling behind this girl with his hands on her shoulders, and she does not, in this card, I know if you're listening to this, you can't really see the card. She does not look happy. Yeah, she does not look happy. She has arms folded, and he looks like he's like, come on, babe. You know, maybe it is something like, come on, babe. It's just going to be a little bit longer. Well, who knows what he's asking for? Why is he down on one knee? Hands on the shoulders. Is he steadying her while she waits for those pentacles to drop? Is there someone very chivalrous? Back to this Knight energy, maybe this is what happens right before the Knight of Cups come in. And this could be, you could take this like Knight or this guy kneeling behind you with your hands on his shoulder as many different things, depending on who you are listening to this. This could be your guides steadying you. Like, hold on, you know, we've got your back. Everything's fine. Your stuff really is coming, because they do allude to that in the very last sentences. Oops, sorry, I hit the microphone. And the chapter is like, you're already going to get everything that you want. So like, just hold tight. There's no need for another reading too. I feel like we keep hearing that over and over, like the same messages and readings. Like, you're going to get what you want. You're going to get what you want. You're going to get what you want. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing it. I almost don't want to listen to these readings anymore. So it's kind of like, you're already going to get what you want. So if you listen to another reading, you're only going to hear the same messages over and over and over again. You could take this as your person if you're somebody who's, maybe you're waiting on a person to do something. So if this is a love interest, you know, maybe you do want to get married. He is down on one knee. There's no ring in this picture. And maybe she's just like, I'm tired of waiting for you to propose to me. I'm going to consider my options. Considering my options is the Seven of Cups. So depending on who you are, this one card holds like super many different meanings. If this is just you and another person, I mean, maybe you're having to wait for somebody to do something before you can do something. Maybe you're waiting on something. Maybe you are waiting for a person to come into your life. And maybe this person kneeling behind you is like their higher self, their astral self saying, you know, I'm here. I want to come towards you, but I'm waiting on divine timing to tell me it's okay to move forward. Maybe the divine timing is this freaking, you know, when Pluto leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius on November 19th, or maybe it's some other serendipitous time when the guides say, you know, it's okay for you to move forward towards this person. So take this particular Seven of Pentacles as it resonates with you. But whatever the case may be, the person in the card is so close to the other person. So I just think whatever you want with this divine timing is just so close to you. And the fact that the hands are on the girl's shoulders, I mean, I just feel like whatever you want is imminent. So don't, and I think, yes, so many chills. That's what it is. Whatever you want is imminent. So don't stop doing your spiritual practice. Don't stop your gratitude practice. Stay, oh my God, the chills is my confirmation if you're new here. Stay high vibe. It doesn't always have to be Pluto in Aquarius. They have told me that before, that every single thing does not revolve around Pluto leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. Some of it is, but some of it is not. And this thing with these relationships, or this waiting for other things, it may not necessarily be that. So don't get all uptight about like, oh my God, I got to wait till November 19th now for this. Something is happening, and it may happen sooner. It may happen a little bit later. It may happen like right after you listen to this message. So be in this like, so many chills, be in this delighted, like anticipatory state about what you want, because it is coming. And for many of you, it's here like right now. All right. So let me just check in and see if there's anything else. Okay, the guides are complete and I am complete. So we have a lot to share with you coming up next week. I'm looking forward to it. And until then, hey, my hearties, stay high vibe, tribe. And we will see you all again soon, somewhere in the astrals, at TLC for the Soul. Take care.
This episode was brought to you by Giuseppe Vertucci's Pasta in Your Face food truck. Pasta for the modern human. You can join this fun pasta movement and come visit Giuseppe's food truck at Tessa Locke's Farmers Market on Mondays and Fridays, and in Rockaway Point, right outside the Rockaway Point Lighthouse on Thursdays and Saturday afternoons. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.